Hi, it's Sudara from melatonin.dev, and this video is looking at Trem, the third page in my Sine Machine additive synth. We just came from the second page, which was envelopes, which is the general shape of the note over time. And now we're looking at Trem, which, it's humbly named Trem or tremolo. It basically just means volume modulation, right? Like up or down in volume. That is kind of what it does, so that's why it's named that way. But there you can independently control every single harmonic and every single voice, so it gets quite crazy. You can have all kinds of timbral effects. You can create all kinds of sounds like delays and everything with it. So we're gonna dive in. If you have the init patch and it comes, I think, with Trem off, like disabled bypassed here, you can turn it on, and then if you play a note, it's just bringing the whole note in and out and in and out. This visualizer, it's very similar to the envelopes visualizer in that it just shows linearly a bunch of harmonics. In this case, I think it's 64. It's double what envelopes shows. And that's just double so that you can pick out patterns better, essentially. But yeah, it's kind of arbitrary, right? Like just ends at harmonic 64. So if you create patterns here, you're not going to see them go up for hundreds of harmonics or whatever. Just gives you a general idea of what's going on. So you can change the different waveforms. We have this triangle that we just played. We have something plucky, and we have something squarey. The thing to know about the triangle and the ramp and their flipped variants is that they're not like linear. It's not like turn it up linearly in amplitude and turn it down. It's a logarithmic attack and an exponential decay, just like a real pluck would be. So that's why it sounds quite plucky. Oh, sorry, this is the reverse pluck. This is the pluck. So that's why it sounds plucky. And if you want it even more pluckier, you can turn sharpness up. What that does is it really just adds space in between the plucks. So it kind of makes the actual pluck a bit pluckier. And if you go here, then it really kind of fills out the space in between. So that's what sharpness does. Then you have trem depth, which, I don't know, would be the same in any kind of tremolo effect or whatever. Just like it'll go all the way down to off at 100%. And otherwise you can have part of the note continuing. This is when things start getting fun. So you can, this little thing next to it, I guess this is the first time we're seeing this. It's an odd even octave selector. So when you click it, you're choosing basically what this depth value is going to apply to. So here it's all, here it's only odds, and that sounds different, right? Because the evens will be consistently playing and the odds will be pulsing. And the opposite, and then here's just the octaves pulsing. So that's interesting. And then what's this other abstract piece of hieroglyphic art here? We have the first occurrence of what I call a rainbow XY or a harmonic XY. It's basically, as a parameter, I think it's called distribution. It decides how you're distributing this depth value, in this case, across the harmonics, right? So do you want the lower harmonics to have high depth, and then, as you go up, there's less depth? So that's what that would sound like. Or you can make a peak in the middle, or you can just have the high harmonics have depth. So that's what this is. This is controlling where has depth, and by default all has depth, right? And so if we look at rate, it's the same sort of situation. We have rates here, and you can say, okay, but you want the rates to be different across harmonics. So the low rates, the lower harmonics are going to have this high rate of 162, and everything else is going to be a little slower. And that's how you kind of get these ever-changing patterns, right? Because if one harmonic is modulating a different rate, you're basically never going to have a moment that sounds exactly the same. It's kind of ever evolving. So the rates is a really nice way of getting these ever evolving or sorry, changing how the distribution of rate across harmonics is one of these ways of getting these really fun sounds. And you might see that halfway in this harmonic XY, these are the tips and tricks, the pro tips. Okay, halfway across the harmonics, what would you think that would be? Well, if you're playing a low note with, you know, as you can see in the visualizer, hundreds of harmonics, you might expect it to be, you know, the 100th harmonic, like halfway in that. No, that's not how it works. As you can see, it's more like 36-ish is the halfway, and that's just roughed in by feel. Like, this gives you the best sort of control over things. I mean, sure, this is like, you only really have choice between having 2 peaks or 1 peak or whatever on this XY, but yeah. So the middle ground is not necessarily the middle of your note. It's like it's this arbitrarily chosen middle. So that's kind of interesting. Keep it in mind. The other thing is you can, of course, BPM sync. So if you're in a DAW and you're at 140 BPM or whatever, by default it's 120 in standalone, then you have, you know, you can do things at a quarter note rate. Then we got this thing, BPM abs. Abs. 6-pack of abs. It stands for absolute. It means, what does it mean? Well, when we're just on normal BPM and we do a note on, it will start tremming from that note on, and basically it pays attention to when you hit the note, and it triggers the LFOs then. So that means that if I have 2 notes, they don't necessarily trem together. They're kind of independent, right? Like, right? They're hitting at different times. BPM abs locks them. It locks the rates to where, like, the beats in the bar position in the DAW. So whenever we come up at the start of a bar or whatever, they're all going to be locked together, and that means that when you play multiple notes together, they're all tremming together. So even if I try and play off beat, it's not going to let me. They're just all going to come in and out at the same time. And that gets interesting with the next options here, which is pattern. Okay, this is where, like, the magic starts, really. And this is quite exciting. Basically, you can, like, push a pattern into these harmonics by offsetting when these LFOs are starting. So it's like we're kind of changing when they're going to start. So we're going to push this pattern in, which in this case is like a triangle, right? And you choose how big the pattern is. So how big the pattern is, like how high. So if you see on the visualizer, it's like 32 harmonics high. We can come down and make a little triangle shape that's only 12 harmonics high, or 11 or 10, right? And then pattern amount is, given the rate, how much of the space of the rate or whatever do you want to push into? So, like, if you do full or whatever, versus just you're going to push in a little bit, this will just give a little jaggedy edge on the tremolo, but this will really change the sound significantly as it... One tip and trick is anything under like 12 or whatever is going to sound super pattern rhythmic. Right? And then as you go up, it's going to sound sort of swirly. And then as you go into the hundreds or whatever, it's going to sound more like filtery kind of. So, yeah, and then you can choose these different patterns. The sine one is really good for, like, you know, it's not dividing the space between the harmonics up equally. So it kind of has this like gallop kind of sound. Random is just random, which is quite fun. Whenever you touch control here in random, it's just going to remake the random values. So it kind of can be quite hectic. Those are the only knobs in Sine Machine that kind of cause a scene when you, or not knobs, but sliders, that when you move them. Yeah. Have you noticed there's no knobs in Sine Machine? What does it mean? What does it mean? Why? So we got this ramp. These different kinds of filtering. And again, as you get to single digit, it starts to sound very patterny. And that's because, you know, every other harmonic, every third harmonic, they're in lockstep. If you change the sharpness, they blur together, you can really make them very discrete, like this. Or even more discrete by making them squares, right? Like a square wave, just on or off. And yeah, the rate goes very high into audio rates, so that can be also kind of a source of unhappiness, apparently. Oh, this is just like... yeah, so have fun with that. Yeah, if we like browse a few patches, we can see how Trem kind of changes across. Like, it's used in patches like this for just like kind of like a shimmer. Like here we'll do with and without. So it's just a little bit more vanilla without. Here again, it's like shimmering, right? But in this different pattern. When it's off, it's just kind of holding strong. When it's on, then it has some variation. Here, it's more a core sound of the patch in general, something kind of rhythmic. Also kind of has this delay kind of feel, right? This is just adding something textural. I guess this patch has it has a quite diverse envelope feel about it, so this is just adding some additional rhythmic texture. This is more filtery. And yeah, this is very kind of delay-like. If you want it even more delay-like, then change it to the ramp so you get a pluck. Then it even sounds like the attacks are delaying, right? So that's Trem in a nutshell. If you have any questions, hit me up and I will answer them. Hopefully I explained everything okay there. Let's move on to the next one.